Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today. So today's video is going to be a part of my little scrapbook store weekend crop. I am sharing with you a card sketch, and I'm going to change it up and show you a second option for doing this particular sketch. Obviously it's like a horizontal design, and we're going to flip it on its side. So we're going to start with working on our focal image, but real quick I want to show you the paper collection, which we're going to be using the Cocoa Vanilla Daydream. This is the 6x8" paper collection, and you get 2 of each patterns. So we're going to be doing the A2 size card flipped on its horizontal, and then those are all the card pieces that I have ready to go for this particular card. So what we're going to do first is take the mustard seed distress oxide, and we're going to ink up the first stamp. This one really, it isn't necessarily like a double stamping set. It's not like that, but they have this sort of like a background image that you can put the leaf on top of, and it creates a nice effect. So that's what we're doing today. And this is from Concord and Ninth. I want to say this was a stamp set from last year or the year before. I can't stop using it. I love it. And when I get a stamp set like that, it won't be going anywhere. Like, it could be probably falling apart and I'll try and glue it. So I'm just grabbing a new microfiber cloth, and I'm gonna use it to help press down so I can get a nice even pressing. And then I'm gonna flip my card up and put the magnet. And for this one I'm going to use VersaFine. This is the sepia color, because everything in this is more in the brown tones. There's really not a whole lot of black, so I thought the sepia would work better. And we're going to, like I said, press down using the cloth to make sure it helps give even pressure. And there is our image. And you see it just colors it a little bit underneath, so it gives a little bit of interest. And I'm just going to clean up my little area right here real quick, since I can't take it off and put it away because I'm working on the video here. I'm just wanting to clean it up so that way when I'm done with it, I can put it up. All right, so let's get started, okay? So we're going to kind of turn this on its side. So I'm using this dot liner. I got this actually from Michelle. She had it on her Facebook page, but I want to say it's also on the web page where you can order it, and there are refills that you can get as well. And I just started using it, but I like it. It's a little bit bigger in my hand than the little tiny Tombos, which doesn't bother me at all. It's just a different feel. All right, so I did a mat that was 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and then the pattern paper was at 4 by 5 1/4. All right, and then once I got that on, I'm taking this piece, which is the 2 inches by 4, because I want it to go from the pattern paper edge to pattern paper edge. I didn't want it to go across the entire mat piece, so I just made it 4 inches in length. Once I got that down, I'm grabbing some peel-offs. Now, unfortunately, these aren't sold at the My Little Scrapbook store. These are only available overseas in the UK. But if you have any like foil paper or anything like that, you could always cut a thin strip that you could glue down yourself, and you can just use a thin like 1/8 inch score tape, or you can just use your glue bottle to draw a little line, and then you could, you know, glue it down that way. So just because I'm using these peel-offs doesn't mean that you can't get the same effect using what you have in your own home. So once I get these trimmed down and taped around the back, we're good to go with getting it attached to our card front. So I'm looking around for my tape, because for whatever reason I just couldn't see it in the moment. And then all of a sudden you're gonna see right here, oh, I grab it. Why couldn't I see it? because it was white sitting on top of the white side of the glass mat, so it just all blended in. I had to leave that in because this is the real life of crafters, right? You put something down and you're like, where'd I put it? Where'd I put it? So once we get that glued down, it's time to start doing our next piece. And I'm going to put the tape on the back using the art glitter glue. That gives us wiggle room, okay? So if you guys have never done that before, I highly suggest it, okay? With anything that you're putting on and you have to make sure you get it even, you just want to make sure that you use wet glue with your what we'll call dry glue, which is like your tape runners and stuff, because at the end of the day, that few seconds that the wet glue gives you is well worth it. Okay, so for our focal image, we're going to use some foam to give it a little bit of dimension. And I love foam, okay? Foam squares, rolls of foam, however I can get it, I love it because I feel like it just gives your card a little bit of weight, a little bit of something when you add a little bit of dimension. So, and I'm a card maker who's a hoarder and does not like to send out cards. I just keep them all. So yeah, you know, that happens. So I use a lot of foam. But what I was showing you there, I'm using a colored cardstock. And I don't know if you guys have colored cardstock in your stash. But if you do, if it is not a heavy weight, this is going to be a helpful trick for you guys. I'm telling you. Sometimes with colored cardstock, you can write on it. The recipient can see it. And everybody is, you know, it's great, right? But if you do all of this, all the layering of the papers, the foam, all that on the front, it makes your card front heavy. So it feels like on the front, like, oh, this is a really nice, good quality card. And then your back end curls up and folds up because it's so weak, it just can't handle the weight. So what I do is I trim down the same weight of the white cardstock that I use for my mat to fit inside of the card. And by doing that, it makes the card stronger because now on the back side, it has a little bit of weight just like the front. And it's not a whole lot because we're not adding on a whole bunch of layers, but just that one layer helps so much, I promise you. So if you're finding you're doing cards and, you know, your front, whatever you're doing on there is a little bit heavier, put some cardstock on the inside. Even if you're using white paper, if it's not 110 pounds for your card base, add a piece of white on the inside. It's not going to bother anything. It's not going to look stupid. But what it's going to do is give your card some weight. And I'm telling you, that is something that people can definitely feel in their hands when they're holding your cards. So if you want to just take your card up a notch, do that. Put something on the inside. If it's already white, then put a layer of dark colored paper, whether it be black or brown or gray or solid that matches your front, and then put another piece of white on top of that. Thickness, weight, it matters. Okay, that's what I've learned over the years of making cards. The heavier your card, it really does feel more substantial and like you've done so much into it. So in looking at these, what I decided to do was grab some of my sentiment strips that I've already made up. And what we're going to do is just attach these to the cards. And so for the ones who are horizontal, I found the longer quotes fit better and looked better with this particular with these layouts, you know, because sometimes you could try a sentiment strip and it just doesn't work, you know. You could also leave these blank and only put a sentiment on it when you're ready to send it out to somebody. You don't always have to put a sentiment on the front of your card. You can leave it blank until the moment where you need something and then just do a quick sentiment stamp where it be happy birthday just because, thinking of you, whatever it may be that you're trying to send the card out for. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. So what I'm trying to do is find another sentiment to go in with this, the top one, the top left yellow, and I wasn't finding one that was already made up. I don't know if you guys have seen these. I know Michelle sells the Tailored Expression blender brushes, and Tailored Expressions actually has these sentiment strips, and they had what they called a backer strip, and the backer creates the mat for the actual sentiment strip to go on top of. Well, I got the brainy idea, I should just run a bunch of them through my my die cutting machine. And then I was like, okay, I didn't think that through, because now I have to literally go through and try and match these up. Anyway, the struggle be real sometime, right? So now we're just going to go through and get these attached real quick. And you could just use straight glue right to your project. If you wanted to give it a little bit of height, you can always grab a piece of foam tape, which I'm going to show you. Like this one on the roll, I would cut it right down the middle, and then when I trimmed it, put it right on the back of the card, or the sentiment strip, and it fits perfectly. Just peel the backing off, which sometimes I use my pokey tool, which does help. And then I just put a little bit of glue on the foam just so I can have some wiggle room with that too, because you want to make sure it's even. And if it's not, you want to be able to lift it up without tearing your project apart, because let's be real, we're at the done part. Now on this one was a little bit too short, so I decided to peel it up, cut it in half, and then drag it down. So just like there's a little spot in the middle where there's no foam, but it ain't gonna bother nobody. All right, so we're going to put that one on this one. And then see, I didn't have it even. It's almost the exact same length, and I had it over too far to the right. So having that little bit of glue allowed me to pick that up and move it on down. Now this one, we're going to attach the two, and you get this nice border. And then on this one, I'm just going to glue it down right in the center mostly, because I want it to just kind of float right over top of the image. And that one says, "You are my people." I like that. So these are the final cards. Now, if you guys have Nouveau drops, which you can also get from Michelle, use them. You can use clear, gold, black, whites. They have some pretty blues that would work really well with those blue ones. So definitely so much you. All right, you guys, so make sure you check out all the links down below. I'm going to have the links to the Facebook group and, of course, to their webpage. And then you can check out the Daydream paper collection if there's any left of that. And then, of course, you know, you can look for their Nouveau drops. I didn't use any here, but, you know, I feel like everybody should have Nouveau drops. And if you guys have any other questions on supplies or anything that you may be in need of, just leave a comment down below, and I would definitely try and find you links, get you over to Michelle's little scrapbook store. She's got fun sales. They do family bingo. There's so much that she does. And they also have these free crops. So definitely check them out. And I will see you guys with our next video.